Welcome to Belief Busters Podcast, where we change the world one belief at a time. True transformation happens when we question if the beliefs we hold are of truth, or simply someone else's belief that we have internalized as our own. I'm your host, Rev. Sheree Taylor-Jones, and I'm glad you could join us on the journey. Well, I want to wish you all a happy Shavuot. And you're like, what? What is that? Well, that is a Jewish word from long ago. And it was used to describe the harvest festival, like the first fruits of the land. And it started way back in Israel, where the wheat harvest, they celebrated that. And then it changed. It changed to be a commemoration of the law given to the people. And when we're talking about the law, we are talking about the law given to Moses as he listened to God through his vision of the burning bush. And the law is also known as the first 5 books of the Jewish Bible. So that's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And this year, Shavuot was on May 16th to May 18th. Why am I telling you this? Because you never know what's going to happen when you come to church here. One. The second is the context. It's so important for us to know the history of how things came into being, how the rituals got started. And then we can make decisions on, does that work for us today or not? But without the history of it, it's really difficult to make that call in a bubble, so to speak, right? So that's at least what I believe as being your spiritual leader, giving you the context for these things. So in the first century, Jews were gathered together to celebrate Shavuot. It was a time of great feast for the Jewish people as they celebrated the laws that was a guide to how to live life. And this was a major celebration until the destruction of the Jewish temple in 70 AD. Tracking me so far? So I want you to imagine the story of the Jewish people in the diaspora, right? These are people that have been conquered time and time again, as far back as 597 BCE. And they were shoved out of their homeland, right? And they were everywhere in the world, scattered around the world. Sometimes we think maybe things haven't changed so much over the centuries, right? Especially when we witness similar things going on today. People being forced out of their homelands due to war or ethnic cleansing, and then being turned into refugees in new countries. But during the first century, these people, they were coming home to the temple. They were coming home to family. They were coming home to celebrate this holiday. And for Jesus' disciples, they had just gone through a traumatic event. Remember, 50 days ago, what did we celebrate? Easter, right? So 50 days ago, they saw their beloved crucified. And then this miracle of the Christ being risen after 3 days. And then 40 days later, they saw the Christ ascend. And now it's 10 days later. And they're all together in Jerusalem with all these people from everywhere coming in, speaking lots of different languages because they live in different countries. When suddenly there is this burst of fire that comes down from the heavens, and it blesses each and every disciple, blessing them with spiritual gifts. This is now known as the Day of Pentecost. And it's described in the New Testament in the book of Acts, chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. It states this: When the day of Pentecost had come, They were all together in one place. And suddenly from the heaven there came a sound like the rush of a violent wind, and it filled the entire house where they were sitting. Divided tongues of fire appeared among them, and a tongue rested on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other languages as the Spirit gave them that ability. You see, the disciples, they were waiting. They were waiting on the Holy Spirit. They didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know what it would look like, but they believed and had faith. And once they were blessed with this holy fire, the disciples could do amazing things. They could heal, they could prophesy, and they could perform so many miracles. I'm telling you this story because we are having a parallel experience here at Unity Church of the Hills. We've been exiled. We've been exiled from this beloved community for over a year because of the pandemic. For over a year. And now, from the diaspora, we are coming home. We are coming home to this sacred place. Do you feel the holiness in these grounds? Thank you. If not, breathe. It's real. Do you feel the energy of renewal that is in this sanctuary? It's palpable. There are no coincidences that today is the day of Pentecost. Today is the day of Pentecost. The day that we are expanding and welcoming our community back together in wholeness. Today. You know, when I thought about this talk, of course I knew it was the day of Pentecost, but did I know that the CDC would reverse their rules? Did I know that we would be opening up in this magnificent way? Divine order, my friends. I claim that. There are no coincidences. So today, here we are. What if this Pentecost, you become on fire? Today. What if this is the day that you are filled with the Holy Spirit? Now you might think, oh, girl's talking about Holy Spirit. She must be thinking we're in Baptist church today. But no. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, wrote this. The day of Pentecost signifies a gathering of spiritual powers for the purpose of harvesting the first fruits of spirit. A dedicating of these new forces of spirit to unselfish service in the vineyard of the Lord. Charles Fillmore wrote that. And yes, the language is a bit archaic, but he's talking about embodying the power of the divine, of the Christ, to be the light of the world. That's what we're talking about. And that we are here to use our spiritual gifts and our spiritual power to serve humanity. We are here to elevate, to heal, to love, and to perform miracles greater than any have been seen before. And my friends, we are now that embodiment. And now is the time for us to take our place as being the Christ in the world. So let me tell you a story, because I know I got intense and deep there for a moment. Let me tell you a story. It's about the famous violinist, Niccolo Paganini. He had this amazing gift, and he had this particular violin that was named Il Cannone, right? And he named it that because it had this powerful sound that when it played, it was like a cannon. It was just that big. And when he died, he willed this marvelous violin to the city of Genoa. It was his birthplace. But it had a condition. The instrument was supposed to be preserved forever, and no one could play it. Those were the stipulations. And under no condition could the public administration have sold or even rent it at a profit, because this instrument was and is priceless. The violin could not leave the town hall for any reason. And guess what? It started to deteriorate. Right? And the damage was most likely occurred because of the fast-drying glue and where the violin was located. And it was an unfortunate condition because wood is really interesting, isn't it? Because as long as it's used and handled, it shows little wear. But the moment that we discard it, it starts to decay. So the city committee agreed that il canone, I got to do the Italian accent with that. Like all music instruments in working condition, needed to be played. And they could not be merely admired as a painting or a sculpture. So they restored it in 1937, and today it is played sporadically by virtuosos. This story is about this priceless violin moldering away because it wasn't used for its purpose. And it's a reminder that a life withdrawn from service to others loses its meaning. My friends, we are called to be in loving service to each other. And without doing what we are designed to do and to be, our gifts simply fade away. And if we accept the law of attraction as truth, then we know that as each of us becomes filled with the Holy Spirit, the Christ consciousness, that we are creating a magnet that brings us insights, gifts of unbounded energy, gifts of spiritual awakening, gifts to heal, gifts of abundance. And in this energetic field that we create, we demonstrate mighty works that have people coming to us from around the world. And they're coming to Unity Church of the Hills to be loved, to be healed, to be made whole again. And that's the powerful community we can choose to become if we choose to be on fire, if we choose to be filled with spiritual love and light and possibilities. So I'm going to remind you, this is not the place to come to if you want to be entertained. That's right. This is not the place to come and watch a performance. This is a place for you to awaken to the truth of who you are. Divine human being, more powerful than you've been led to be believed. Filled with immense abilities and gifts. This is a place of transformation. We say it, do we not? We say it. So I'm inviting you to be it. This is the place for you to let go of false ego. Let go of those petty hurts and slights that you may have given or received from each other. Let go of misunderstandings. Let go of erroneous perceptions. Let go of the need to control. Not that we have any of those here, I'm sure not. Let go of what you think things should look like. Let go of the outcomes. Those disciples, they were awaiting. They did not know what was coming, did they? They knew they had to wait, but they had faith. And immense power and miracles happened for them. I invite you to tell that inner critic that you inaccurately think is the voice of God. Did you hear that? That it is not of truth. The inner critic is simply those indoctrinated beliefs that we take on from someone else's beliefs, and we take them on as ours. That's that inner critic. And remind yourself of who you have come here to be. Say no, my friends, to being small, and say yes to playing large. Say no to feeling powerless to change things, and say yes to how can I use my gifts to serve humanity. I got to tell you, I did not come here to do church. You see the quote? Do church. That's not why I'm here. I came here to support the awakening of a consciousness of a community that says we're ready to be the change agents in the world. A world that at times has forgotten how to be kind to others. A world that has put money above the welfare of those in need. A world that has created scapegoats based on class, race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality. I didn't come here to be your Messiah or your destroyer. I'm hearing those labels bounce around, by the way. I'm telling you, no. I came here because Spirit called me here. That's why I'm here. Spirit said, these are your people. This is the community that will be set on fire from the indwelling Christ. These are the people that I will pour a fire of renewal, a fire of hope, a fire of power over. These are my beloved who will do amazing things. Take a moment to be with you and listen and remember to what is your purpose. What is your purpose for saying yes to being now here on this planet, to incarnating here? Whatever you hear that is of love, that is of God, that is of Spirit. And those thoughts that make you doubt, fear, diminish your power or the power of someone else, bless those thoughts. Love those thoughts and say to the thoughts, I am here to be the light, and I am waiting for the fire of God to bless me. If you are enjoying these conversations about assessing your belief systems and how to transform outdated beliefs, then please subscribe and give us a positive review. To support this podcast and its transformative work, you can also become a sponsor for as little as $5 a month. You can reach Rev Sheree at info@beliefbusterspodcast.org. To continue on this journey of evolution, you can also get my book, Turning Your Why into Why Not, at Amazon or any other bookstores, which gives you practical tools to do this work. See you next time on the flip side.